Hey there, Leo. Thanks for tuning in. This is going to be a reading for the remainder of May 2025. And if this reading resonates with you or you find value in it and you would like to have a personal reading, please feel free to check out my email in the description. I'd love to do a reading for you. So let's see what we got coming up. And it's a little busier around here this evening, so if there's some background noise, please be as forgiving as you can. Man. Man, this just feels like a really powerful reading already, a very powerful energy. I'm just gonna take a sip real quick and then we'll be right back. So at the heart of your reading this month, you have the Emperor. I think that the theme for the remainder of May is going to be all about power. How to get back in touch with your power, how to find it if it's gone missing, how to explore new aspects of your power, how to operate in very new, probably scary ways in order to build your sense of power, your sense of confidence. I get the feeling of really having to put yourself out there in new ways. Like scary, like there will probably be like a terror barrier type energy you encounter for the rest of the month, at some point in the rest of the month. It may not like be an enduring kind of lasting throughout the remainder of May, but you'll probably hit it at some point. And when you hit it, you know that you're doing the right thing. You're moving in the right direction. You're avoiding stagnancy. You are changing because change has to happen. And you seem very aware of it. So to get us rolling a little bit further, in your conscious realm for this month, you have the Ace of Pentacles. So this suggests that in addition to there just being more opportunities here, you are very concerned with finding those opportunities, seeking out those new gifts, basically identifying what it is that you want and looking for it. Because just waiting for it in some sort of way or hoping it shows up by happenstance or by luck is just not the way to operate, and you seem to know that that's not the way. It's not going to happen for you that way. I think the gift will come, the extension will be made to you from the universe or the higher power whatever that means for you, the force that is very, it gives readily. It wants to give it to you, but you also kind of have to know what you're looking for, and probably be very honest with yourself in making a real pivot in some way to actually move in the direction of your dreams. You realize you may have to encounter some things that are very new, very difficult. I get the impression of kind of moving out of the comfortable garden, out through the gateway and into the world to climb the mountains. The mountains that don't have much character yet. There's not much to discern about the journey ahead of you. That's a strong feeling I have. I think that's part of the fear or the terror, is not feeling like you have very little clue as to the journey ahead. There's tremendous promise. There's a lot of support, and you'll probably find a lot of support exactly as you need it, but maybe no more than that. It may be a time where you get what you need as you need it, and those in-between moments might be very uncomfortable because the amount of material resources that you're working with could change a lot from moment to moment. Let's see if we can get some clarification on this Ace of Pentacles. Can we get some clarification on the Ace of Pentacles? I think if we don't get an offering in the next, Okay, so the Ace of Pentacles in your conscious realm, what you're going to be very aware that you're seeking after in life, the kinds of things that you're moving towards in your day-to-day life. That Ace of Pentacles is clarified by the Wheel of Fortune, the Eight of Wands, and the Two of Pentacles. So again, I think setting your direction this month, kind of, orienting towards the thing that you want to be receiving is going to be really important, even if it's just kind of making space in your heart for that to happen. Kind of identifying, all right, as scary as this may be, this is the direction I want to move my life in. This is the thing that I know I want, that lights me up. That's the thing. It's going to be your passion. And that's going to be the thing. You really need to have that as your orientation, or otherwise you're probably going to be blown off course in some manner. And I think this Wheel of Fortune, this turn of fate, will be in your favor. It's like the higher power wants things to happen for you, but it's like you have to get maybe more serious. There could be a kind of leveling up that you have to do, and you may be really facing some tough circumstances right now in order to gain the skills or the mindset in order to move towards that new lifestyle, that new opportunity. But I think once you do that, it's going to allow the energy to move very, very quickly. It's kind of like by narrowing your focus, not allowing yourself to be so distracted or pulled into so many different pursuits, you're going to be really able to streamline your efforts, which will allow that opportunity to come in faster, more tangibly, even if this is just the beginning of an opportunity. So again, this kind of feels like the beginning of a journey. And, at the same time, I think you're going to be trying to balance, the different aspects of life, keep things afloat, essentially. And I think that's going to be really important as well. It's like whatever skill set you need in order to make this opportunity to come to fruition, it's going to have to be in harmony with the structure of your life. It's like you can't, like if your vision is going to require you to have a completely different set of circumstances in order for that to happen, it's probably just not going to come around for a while, because it's just not like the realistic way of approaching how you get towards that goal, how you move towards that goal. Yeah, so this could be balancing yourself out emotionally, kind of riding the emotional waves that will very likely be kind of churning this month. Balancing your resources, at a time where I just get the feeling that money may be tight, or, there's not that feeling of abundance right now. Watching how you spend is going to be really important. And not to preach or anything, but like a first step always seems to be a budget. Or if you have a budget and realize you haven't really been sticking to it or haven't been looking at it lately, it's probably a good time to revisit it, because you want to have that awareness of where your resources, again, your money and resources as energy, where those things are going. Yeah, and I mean, I think the reason that all of this is kind of surging in you, maybe like all of this energy for new change, more direction, more power, embodying the kind of person that you want to be, is because in your subconscious realm you have the world. This suggests that you've reached the end of a chapter of some sort, a moment of completion or a milestone. And, you have this deep awareness that once that chapter has come to a close, the only way forward is onward, basically, is to keep moving. Let's see if we can get some clarification for the world here. And, again, just to reiterate, all of these themes are going to be coming back, or relating back to your sense of personal power. And so with this next chapter, you're looking to not just stay in the same set of circumstances. Like, you may have to really put yourself in a place of discomfort. Maybe a better way to say it is just outside of your comfort zone, maybe way outside your comfort zone, because that's going to be the key to helping you feel like that person you want to be. Okay, interesting. And it's going to be, I don't think those were it. Let's see if we can get one more. Yeah, I think this is just going to be a challenging transitional moment, because the end of this chapter that you've just come through, however that feels to you, whatever parts of life that is showing up in for you, there are hard energies at play still. So it's like, this has really been coming up in the readings and in my personal life as well, with like parts work, thinking of ourselves as not just ourself, with these different attributes, but those sort of the different personas or moods or expressions that we have, those are parts, and those parts interact with one another. So, we have wounded parts, or protector parts, or even like angry parts, or joyous parts. And sometimes when those things conflict, like, we don't feel in our place of power. We don't feel in that confident seat of the self that contains all those parts. It's kind of like we feel jumbled. The experience is not coherent. So that the end of that chapter that we just mentioned is characterized by the 7 of Swords, the 3 of Wands, and the Justice card. So it's like, I think in some way, like in order to step into this place of power, there's got to be a balancing of the different forces within you, the different almost personalities or mindsets within you. Because the 7 of Swords is kind of that sabotage element, that thing that does, it's like the imposter syndrome, or the thing that whatever voices are inside of you that kind of suggest you can't do something or that you're not empowered. This is kind of like all the sets of your limiting beliefs that tell you why you can't achieve what you want to achieve. But these are just voices. They need attention and they need compassion just like any other part of you, but they are just voices. And the things that they say are not truth. They're based on a more primitive defense mechanism to keep you in the familiar. And that's another thing too. I think it's like you almost like want to stay in that waiting place because it's more comfortable, kind of waiting for the opportunity to arrive to you or for the dream to fulfill itself. That's been the place that you're in, and maybe that was a very important place as far as like imagining that dream or imagining the opportunities that you want to see come your way. Idealizing these things is very important. Imaging is very important. But I think you're kind of realizing that with the end of this chapter you've just come through, probably very, very quickly you're being called into action. And maybe you haven't been in action all that long in chasing this thing that you want or moving in this direction for yourself. There might have been the idea of this dream for some time, but the waiting period has been an extended one. And so when you have these kind of sabotaging voices encouraging you to just stay put and not move and stay safe, it becomes very difficult to take those action steps in the world. But I mean, there is a very important and powerful sense of justice here, like in this subconscious realm, that wants to see your parts harmonize and wants to see you succeed. It's almost like because these voices have been active for so long, in kind of keeping you small or away from your power, there's a very important influence coming in here to recalibrate those voices, kind of like tone down the limiting and the scared parts, so that really like the power can shine through. That's the idea here. And when I see the Justice card, it can suggest like a difficult balancing. It's not always easy to find this balance, and many times we don't do it willingly. It's like life has to almost force our hand in a certain way. And that often happens at the end of at the end of a chapter. So for all of the difficult things that you may be feeling right now, maybe allow yourself to rest in a certain way in the knowledge that it makes sense, that it's appropriate, that coming to the end of a chapter like this, and I get the feeling it's a significant chapter. It comes with that hardship, and because you're experiencing the hardship, you're being invited into your future. It's like that's the kind of the hard reality, but it will be sweet at one point soon. Kind of like the necessary hardship that's just part of evolution. And not to diminish the feelings of this, because again, I see it here in your challenge for the month. You have the 3 of Swords. This is heartbreak. This is a a tough energy to work with. So maybe at the end of this previous chapter, you're realizing it could be many things, but maybe just that many parts of your life that have become very comfortable have to change or have to come to an end. And it's heartbreaking. Let's see if we can get a little bit more specificity on the Three of Swords. Man. Yeah, I think it's sometimes like the things that we know we have to do are just really, really uncomfortable. And there's just no denying them, though. It's like the truth that we have to do certain things, that we have to let go of certain parts, like people, places in our lives. It hurts. And the thing of it is, there's a deep truth that like tells us we have to in order to keep going. It's like it doesn't feel good, and it's totally necessary. The Three of Swords is clarified by the Judgment card and the High Priestess. This is big energy right along with Justice, where on a very deep intuitive level, there's a knowledge, like a divine knowledge, that this time of hardship is 100% necessary for your next level. And maybe sometimes it's difficult to accept that you're going to such a bright, elevated place. Like my feeling is that the place that you're headed is so far beyond what you imagined it could be. That's part of the terror of this moment, is that you're moving to a place that is so beautiful and so new and so just almost mind-blowing. It's it just feels really intense. And it feels like there's no way to wiggle out of the uncomfortable feelings other than to face them. That's the thing. It's like there's very little wiggle room that I feel right now. But not helpless. Like, that's the thing too. It's I won't linger on it. I want to get to the advice because I think it's really important. In your advice for the remainder of the month, you have the King of Wands in reverse and the Empress. My impression at the moment is that it's like your creative spirit is going to be the key to unlocking your future. Your ability to find love and to look for positivity, to look for empowerment, to trust yourself, to be kind to yourself, to be all of those, to give yourself as much compassion and room to grow in a very conscious way. Like that's going to help you transform. But the ways that you've been using that creative spirit, it's like they need to change in some sort of way. My impression is that when the King of Wands, when you were feeling most empowered in your unique way, your most expressive, your most unique creative spirit could come through, it was very powerful for you. It was very transformative. You had a lot of influence. You felt powerful. It's like a lot of the same ideas are just like circling, but I can feel like the fiery, passionate nature of it. But it's almost like you attained a certain image of yourself, like you began to see that reflected in your experiences with the external world. And that probably you probably felt very accomplished when you reached that point. The thing of it is, so many new circumstances are now in place, like things have begun to change so fast, is that by trying to hold on to the same ways of doing things that worked for you, even very recently, it's going to be fighting against the flow of life, the flow of things. So it's like, even though this is typically a very empowered card and confident card, it's like your creative spirit needs to be used in a way that nurtures the person you're becoming. It's almost like moving from like schools in a sense, like graduating from elementary to middle to high school. It's like kind of let yourself go to like that terror barrier of like the next jump forward, not in a way that like is intended to scare you or anything, but just to get the idea of like when that transition moment occurred, what you needed a totally different set of resources, circumstances, support, help, people to talk to, new advisors, new coping strategies, probably, simply by being in a new environment. There is that kind of the idea of again, you entering the wilderness here, kind of embarking on a bigger journey than maybe you would have thought you were ready for. But I think what's coming through here is that this is the moment to begin in earnest that journey forward, and that like there's a lot of love that is going to support you, a lot of support. You may need to ask for more help right now as well. This sort of that independent spirit that has been fueling you for so long, it just needs a bit more assistance. It doesn't have the mindset that's needed for the journey ahead. It needs a bit more, it needs a bit more lightness, a bit more flexibility, sort of a softer nature. So again, you have many threes in this reading, and from that I kind of get the energy of supportive energy, things and resources moving toward you. Yes, let's see if we can get a little bit of clarification for the King of Wands reversed and the Empress. Why are these energies in the advice? Or can you say a bit more about these energies? And there may this may also be a time to not be doing as many things, but kind of be watchful and attentive to your emotions, be in a more receptive mode, kind of that dynamic between the masculine and like the doing, the kind of action-oriented aspects of life, and the feminine receptive qualities. So it seems that there is a stronger emphasis on the receptive qualities. Also because the High Priestess is in the mix of this as well. So let's see now. Let's clarify the Empress. The King of Wands. Maybe after this reading, do something really kind and gentle for yourself, like maybe take a minute to meditate, or put on some soft music, or light candles, or something that kind of gives you some sensual support and allows you a moment to kind of integrate what you've heard, kind of explore your feelings a little bit, kind of let it breathe. There's kind of a soft, invite yourself to take a soft moment for yourself. Yeah, man. All right, so another 3 has arrived to clarify your advice. So the Empress and the King of Wands in reverse for your advice are clarified by the 2 of Wands, the Fool, and the 3 of Pentacles. So again, with this choice point, it's like there's a reminder to keep the world that you're creating kind of before you. It's like the vision for your future is going to be that orientation point. So if the feelings of fear are becoming, strong, maybe take a moment to just like remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing and how the small steps you're taking now are moving towards this new world that you're building. And these are very new steps. The Fool is here to signify the beginning of this new journey. The world identifies the chapter that's just ended, and the Fool points to the direction of starting a new journey. And with the 3 of Pentacles here, there's an encouragement to seek support or advice from trusted people in your life. It's at a time where like maybe you became fiercely independent and were relying on yourself for all of your needs, and life may have even been reflecting back to you that you are all that you need at any given moment. This is suggesting that maybe you do need some extra support, or that willingness to help will help refine the vision of your future. Maybe this King of Wands is stuck because the vision has become stale, become stagnant, kind of repetitious. Our visions are there for us to like move in the direction, but not to become fixed on that particular outcome. It's like the dreams that we have are to keep us moving, but they aren't going to show up in that exact form. And so maybe by talking to more people and who are in positions that you'd like to be in, or just have, good, solid, different, perspectives that you respect, that could be very helpful for you right now in refining who it is that you wish to be. Because there could be a lot of confusion in the mix of this. And again, balancing the aspects of life, we can lose a lot of our vision in the day-to-day kind of grind. Trying to make enough money to make ends meet, or trying to take care of loved ones, or be able to contribute to other people. And losing maybe the balance of self-care, and it becomes more difficult to keep a vision supported and kind of fixed in our mind if our health is feeling like it's deteriorating. So maybe allow yourself to just intuitively sit with any impressions you get from this 3 of Pentacles. Who are the people that you trust, or what are the resources that you trust for advice? And you can lean on those a little harder right now, because this is a time of creating the new thing, and it's going to be beautiful what you're working towards. There's just these undeniable kind of tough feelings that you have to sit with for a little bit longer and work through and process, so that you can get to that next level. So don't lose hope. There's a lot of brightness, a lot of strong potential represented here. So I'm going to take a moment to draw a few oracle cards for you. I find these to be very helpful in highlighting some of the key messages from the reading. Often that's what happens. And the storm is picking up outside. Okay. Beautiful. So it's quite a spread of energies, but I think that's because you're going to have a very, very big scope of experience for the remainder of the month. There will be some hard realities to face, maybe even hard truths, but again, like you are becoming a new person right now. So I'm going to read from the guidebook on these. I should show them to you first. That would be probably helpful. So for this month, you have postponement in reverse, stress, and rebirth. I'll show them to you all at once. When I look at this spread of energies, one of the notes that I would like to give you before we read from the guidebook is that on this postponement card, I found it to be very nuanced in the message that it carries. So there's what the book will suggest that it's about, but I've seen postponement occur, for example, in the context of your reading. Postponement may be an advice to begin processing things that you've been putting off, sitting with difficult emotions in order to feel them, in order to get them unstuck, so that you can actually move into the life of color and vibrance and, warmth. So it could be a suggestion to not continue procrastinating or avoiding difficulty, because there's going to be support through those hard feelings. It's time to face them. That could be the message for some of you. For others, postponement could mean kind of pulling back from the way that you've been just kind of moving through the world in a very habitual way, so that you can kind of get your bearings again. Kind of reorient yourself, because if you're lost in the mundane, the day-to-day, like the grind, it can become very difficult to see your way forward. So kind of feel into this in an intuitive way, and it may show up for you in different interpretations in different moments. So without further ado, we'll get into the readings for these. I'll try to move it along because I know this reading's getting lengthy. Postponement. And again, this came through in reverse, but just so you have the image more intact, I'm going to hold it upright for you. The woman in this picture is living in a gray landscape, full of unreal cut-out clouds. Through the window frame, she can see colors and light and aliveness. And although she would like to move through the frame, as we can see by the rainbow colors appearing in her garment, she can't quite manage to do it. There's still too much what-if activity in her mind. Tomorrow never comes, they say, but no matter how often it is said, it seems that most of us tend to forget the truth of it. In fact, the one and only result of postponing things is a dull and depressing feeling of incompletion and stuckness today. The relief and expansiveness you will feel once you put aside all the dithering thoughts that are preventing you from acting now will make you wonder why you ever waited so long. So next, we have stress. How many people do you know, just when they were completely overloaded, with too many projects, too many balls in the air, have suddenly come down with the flu or taken a fall and ended up on crutches? That's just the sort of bad timing the little monkey with the pen in his hand is about to impose on the one-man band pictured here. The quality of stress represented by this card visits all of us at times, but perfectionists are particularly vulnerable to it. We create it ourselves, with the idea that without us, nothing will happen, especially in the way we want it to. Well, what makes you think you're so special? Do you think the sun won't rise in the morning unless you personally set the alarm? Go for a walk, buy some flowers, and fix yourself a spaghetti dinner. Anything unimportant will do. Just put yourself out of that monkey's reach. And finally, a beautiful card to conclude your reading, of Rebirth. This card depicts the evolution of consciousness as it is described by Friedrich Nietzsche in his book, Thus Spake Zarathustra. He speaks of the three levels of camel, lion, and child. The camel is sleepy, dull, self-satisfied. He lives in delusion, thinking he's a mountain peak, but really he is so concerned with others' opinions that he hardly has any energy of his own. Emerging from the camel is the lion. When we realize we've been missing life, we start saying no to the demands of others. We move out of the crowd, alone and proud, roaring our truth. But this is not the end. Finally, the child emerges, neither acquiescent nor rebellious, but innocent and spontaneous and true to his own being. Whatever the space you're in right now, sleepy and depressed or roaring and rebellious, be aware that it will evolve into something new if you allow it. It is a time of growth and change. So Leo, I wish you a tremendous success in coming through this rebirth period in your life. I have several important Leo aspects in my chart as well, so a lot of this is calling me to sit deeper with as well. So thank you so much for your time. I will talk to you again soon. Take care.